Hi, I'm Ron Lawson. I'm up here in Tamarack, Idaho. This is day one of the Yamaha Tenere trek. Very, very lucky to be invited up this. This is a get-together for all the Tenere riders and pretty much any adventure bike rider in the Northwest. Yamaha's put together. Site of my introduction to the new World Raid Tenere, which is the next level in the whole Tenere saga. The bike came out as fairly bare bones. Now, much more high-end features, suspension, fuel range. We're gonna ride it today for the first time. Really looking forward to it. We'll report back on how it goes. So for 2 days, I've been riding on the trails and the roads here near the Tamarack Ski Resort here in Idaho. And if you've never done it, let me tell you up front, this is some of the best riding in the country, probably even the world. The mountains are beautiful, the vegetation, everything is awesome about riding up here. This was a great location for the Tenere trek. Now up front, I gave some false information. I said this was for anybody. It is not. This is a perk specifically for Tenere owners. It's quite a perk. The resort here is awesome. And like I said, the trails and the roads, unbelievable. We were treated like celebrities. We had Damon Bradshaw as our personal trail guide for the last 2 days. And day one, they took us up to places that I didn't even know existed. 1,000-foot drops on one side of the trail, sheer granite cliffs going up on the other side. What an amazing place. I did get to learn quite a bit about the World Raid Tenere, which you see in front of me. This isn't the one I rode. I rode kind of a cool black and gold one. This one, actually, I think might even look better. I'm a big fan of both because they're awesome looking bikes. Now, there are a number of perks you get in this motorcycle that you don't get in a normal Tenere. Actually, the list is quite long and it's kind of hard to go over all the details, but I'll give you two important points to remember. One is fuel, and the other is traction control. On a standard Tenere, which already has kind of a high center of gravity, the crank is for some reason about 8 inches higher than just about any other bike. So it's got a high CG, which works for it in some ways and against it in others. But then on top of that, it has this Mount Vesuvius of a gas tank that goes up straight in front of you. They addressed it. So this has much more fuel capacity. That's the other thing about the standard one, is it doesn't go very far. This has 6.1 gallons. It has actually two separate tanks, two separate gas fillers, and they're connected by fuel pumps and siphon hoses, all the inner mysterious workings that Yamaha has figured out. So you look at this up front and you think, my God, it is a giant because the tank is so wide. As soon as you stop looking at the tank and look at where you're going, you forget all about it. Not too narrow, about the right width, right where your knees are. If you get in that weird stance where you're hanging over the front of the bike and you slide your knees forward, you can feel your legs get spread out quite a bit. It isn't necessarily a hindrance, but you notice because, you know, it is a lot of gas up here. The good thing about all that is it actually helps to lower the center of gravity. Like I said, Tenere, notorious for having a high CG. Well, now this gas is held lower, and when you have gas in the tank and it's not sloshing from one side to the other because it is two different tanks, it feels actually more nimble and easier to toss around than the standard Tenere. The other things that a Tenere does well are still in play here. It is one of the most stable adventure bikes you can ride. People kind of think, oh, a low CG, you know, that'll make it more stable. No, it's kind of the other way. High CG helps its speed, and so this bike is magnificent. Once you shift into third, fourth gear, the front end is planted, the rear end is perfect traction, not perfect, but really good traction. traction all the time, and you have absolutely none of that high-speed scariness that you can get with other adventure bikes. They kind of wobble through the sand and the gravel. None of that with this. On top of the other things that the World Raid gets is a steering damper, and that has to make it even better. Now, as far as power goes, any adventure bike has a lot of power. I mean, up front, we're all dirt bike riders at heart. We know that a 450 motocross is almost too much to handle. Well, these things have about, twice as much power as a 450 motocross bike. So how do you deal with it? Yamaha in the past saw the Tenere as kind of a bare bones bike. The first edition didn't have any kind of traction control. The second edition had bad traction control, which was only good to keep it straight in the rain on the street or something like that. With this bike, they have kind of two different branches of traction control. Just straight traction control on one side and what they call slide control on the other. Between those two adjustments, you can have full street mode, off-road mode, or just turned off. And then you can kind of compromise in the middle. You can have off-road traction control and off-road slide control. It really works. As I said, a lot of other traction control on other types of adventure bikes, basically they just help you get stuck. They actually kill the motor, make the motor stutter a little bit when they feel like you're going to spin a little bit. That's not how this works at all. It's actually ride-by-wire, so it just backs off the throttle a little bit. When the 6-axis MCU senses that the bike is drifting a little bit, rolls back the throttle. It doesn't hit a kill button and make you want to high side the way some other traction controls can. Other things that are outrageously fun to ride about this bike, the riding position. When you're standing, the grips are right where they need to be. The pegs are like the widest foot pegs in the adventure bike world. And they have rubber inserts for the street. When you pop those out, you've got a good grip on your boots. It's not at all like having those little pencils on a lot of street bikes that you have to stand on. Shifting, it has quick shift. And a lot of people kind of badmouth that, and I don't know why. It's almost essential on an adventure bike. You roll on the throttle and you just tap up on the shifter, and it just finds a new gear. No jerkiness. And remember, in the dirt on a big adventure bike with all kinds of horsepower, jerkiness is the enemy. This smooths everything out. And then there are other features that you just love. Right in front of me, there's a USB port so you can charge your phone while you're riding. Like I said, this bike is just about every perk you could actually want. Of course, they did leave a lot of stuff to be sold on the accessory market. You can get bags, you can get other things. This doesn't have a center stand, but it does have everything you need. The Tenere maybe did have a reputation as a bare bones type of adventure bike, but that's really not what this thing is anymore. This is a premium adventure bike, and it can go head to head with anything in the adventure bike world right now. As far as the sophistication of the traction control, the way it handles its speed, it's really top of the game. Thanks for watching. For more on adventure bikes, dual sport bikes, motocross bikes, off-road bikes, pretty much anything with bike on the end, go to dirtbikemagazine.com. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button. We'll talk to you soon.